Being a Christian woman and walking in God's calling for our lives can be a difficult task. With the world and pop culture telling us to be one way, and the Bible saying another, you kind of end up feeling like an other. Well, you're not alone. Join me now and my friends as we navigate life in our 20s and 30s, while making sure we live out our faith, embrace our femininity, and looking cute. We discuss pop culture, life, careers, relationships, and so much more. Prepare to be entertained and educated. I know you're going to love it. Join our movement and embrace being another girl. The views expressed on this podcast are our own and do not reflect our employers. Enjoy. Hello, you are listening to Those Are the Girls with Mallory and Friends. I'm Mallory, and we are changing culture and bringing back traditional values. Welcome back to the show. This is another Solo Teacap with just me. We have much to discuss this week. A lot has happened, and honestly, a lot has happened in the life issue category. I have two. I have one like kind of silly, weird, like the joke, like, oh, that's funny, not ha ha funny, ha ha weird story. And then I also have another story that is just, I don't know if you guys, a long time listeners, remember when we were doing a lot of like every week I would find like a weird science. I have another weird science one, and then the rest are like pro-life stories, and then some information about the tea party for this year. So much to discuss this week. If you're a new listener, welcome to the Other Girls community. This podcast, we're talking about pop culture and honestly, like, really any topic that I find interesting, or like if you guys send me stuff and continue to send me things. Sometimes people send me stuff, any topic, and we're giving the Christian. I'm saying we. I'm not like schizophrenic or anything. I'm saying we because a lot of times I'll have my friends come on because it's Mallory and friends, and we will discuss it. So I'm just used to saying we. Anyway, we discuss the topic. We'll so on Mondays now, it used to be Saturdays, now it's Mondays. We'll go back and look at some things that happened last week and kind of just discuss, because that was another thing too. I asked you guys, would you prefer Saturdays or Mondays? Everybody said Mondays because it's fun to get ready to. And Mondays is it's a fine day to do it. Anyway, so that is that. If you're watching this, you can watch this on YouTube and on Spotify, because Spotify now has video podcasts. If you're watching this, you'll see that I am in this really cute outfit. This dress is from Belk, I believe. I'll link it in my like to know it. And then my jewelry is like from my jewelry store. My makeup, my eyeshadow, and my lipstick. I don't know if you can really tell that I'm wearing lipstick in this because of this camera, but I'm wearing lipstick. And because like some of it's kind of come off, like this is the middle of the day. Anyway, they're both from American Woman Beauty, which you can use the code MAL15 to get 15% off. And this outfit is the same outfit I wore in my video about maternity home. So that's where I was earlier this morning. This morning I went to a maternity home that's going to be in York County. They had an open house, kind of just like to let the community know, and like we got a tour. One of our fellow other girls is going to be working there, so that's really exciting. And I believe like we will be doing things to help the maternity home. Really quick, I said this in the video. I'll post the video on I'll post a video on YouTube, and it's also on our social media, wherever, like Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok is where I'll post the video as well. By the time you guys hear this, the video would have already been posted. Anywho, maternity homes. So I'm kind of just going to repeat what I said earlier. Maternity homes are a place for girls who are having unplanned pregnancy, or they just need some extra help, and they need a place to stay. It's a great place, a safe environment where they're going to feel loved and cared for. And a lot of times, this maternity home specifically as well, they'll have people who come in to help with like school and like job applications. The idea is you're able to have a safe environment, a nice, and I was going to say nice, safe, clean, and like they are, like realistically you also want clean environments where women can come and just, I guess, have a a less stressful pregnancy, I guess, for lack of a better word. We'll have someone on the podcast talk about it, and our other girl, our fellow sister, will be doing a blog post about it, hopefully soon, to just kind of explain what it is, because there are around. I did some research before I made my video and before I went. There are only around 400 in our country, and we definitely need more, because one of the reasons why people do have abortions is because they feel like they can't handle it. Oh, and also maternity homes are free, as in like it's a free place for you to live while you're getting your life together. Similar, I guess you could say, similar to a shelter, but a little different. There's probably a lot more rules and things like that. Anyway, in the article, in the blog post she's going to write, she'll kind of explain a little bit, break it down some more for those that don't know. Because I also think like a lot of people didn't know what pregnancy centers are. And I feel like if you don't know what a pregnancy center is, you definitely don't know what a maternity home is. So I think it'll be just good information for all of us to have. And then we'll definitely be doing things like as other girls will be doing things to help the maternity center. Because once again, I think it's a great place to like put your money where your mouth is. If you're going to say that you're pro-life and you want to help mothers, I think a maternity home is probably one of the closest things you can do to help moms and babies. And I'm sure there's going to be volunteer opportunities. Anyway, when those come along, I'll do it. And like, I was thinking maybe we can make baskets or something for them. If you guys have any ideas on that, let me know. And if you have a maternity home in your area, let me know too. And tell me a little bit about it. And if there's anything that we can do as like a community to help with that as well. And had you heard of maternity homes before this or before the video I put out? Let me know. And also if you hear a sound in the background, I hope it's not too loud or too annoying. A fan. It is my diffuser. I put some orange in it and it just smells so good. Actually, let me turn it down. It's so cute. Let me see if I can like put it to the camera. It's pink. I got it for Christmas. It's adorable. It actually didn't come in until I want to say mid-January. It was back ordered. It's from Skinny Confidential and Canopy. And yeah, I guess let me turn it down. It is a little loud, but I really like the smell of orange. Ooh. Okay, there we go. I really like the smell of orange because, well, it smells good, but it's also it's an essential oil, and it also like is one of the ones that like kind of like awakens you, like helps you like be more alert, I guess, for lack of a better word. And then my Stanley. That's also light pink. So one of the things about me is I love the color pink. If you hadn't picked up on that, if you're watching, now you know. Okay. Trying to think of anything else. I have some announcements. It's Women's Month, which is cool. And we do some things on this podcast for Women's Month because we understand and we love that God made us women and he made us uniquely different than men. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with being uniquely different from men. We do not have to change our femininity. We don't have to do anything to keep up with men. There's no reason for us to keep up with men because we're different and that's okay. And we want to celebrate that, especially in a world where there's so many people, so many things telling us that we need to be like men, we need to keep up with men, we need to turn down our femininity, we need to not, wear so much pink or whatever. Or we won't be taken seriously because we're wearing pink, things like that. Like, you don't have to, like, don't worry, don't stress over that because God made you uniquely different because you're a woman and that's fine. That's great. It's a good thing. We can do things that men can't. For one, we can carry children. That is something. We can breastfeed children. Men cannot. I don't know if that's something that we've ever discussed on the podcast, but that's just something to note. Men cannot breastfeed their children. Let me read to you this post I posted. I just feel like it's kind of relevant to what we're talking about. I posted this on Women's Month, and I post kind of a variation of this pretty much every Women's Month, just to remind everybody that, just some reminders. Here we go. Women are uniquely different than men, but loved by God equally. Women don't need abortion. Women need men, and men need women. I hate sometimes using the word need because it's like, need. But I think that's probably the best word to describe. Our society could not function without men. And our society also couldn't function without women right now. And there's a lot of these gender wars. If you're on Twitter, I mean, it's getting to be ridiculous. Girls are just goofing off and dancing, and men are, if you're on Twitter, you see what's going on. If not, praise God, you're not on Twitter, you don't see. Sometimes I actually have to like take a break, or like I will mute certain words and stuff, because it just gets to be too much. Because once we leave this social media, most, not all, because I have met some what people would call incels in real life. Most of them are just kind of online. They're not really in real life. So anyway, yeah, we need each other. Like, that's, God made men and women to complement each other. God made men have qualities and skills that women in general, that women lack, and women have qualities and skills that men lack, because we work together. A couple other ones. Women can be brave, strong, and feminine. I know there's also this like kind of a movement where people are like, well, women, you don't have to be brave or strong. I think there are situations where you do, and you don't have to give up your femininity. Being brave and strong doesn't mean you give up your femininity. I think it's brave to stand up to stand outside an abortion facility and offer women options. I think men, women, and no matter, like, I think men and women should both be out there, but I also think women really need to be out there, because at the end of the day, it's the woman who is pregnant. So it's kind of comforting to see the woman like on our side. So I think that is brave, and there's nothing wrong with being brave, and there's nothing wrong with, looking, still expressing your femininity while you're out there. So in my opinion, ignore the people who are like, oh, women don't have to be brave and strong, blah, blah, blah. Women are fearfully and wonderfully made. God made us all uniquely beautiful. I'm not going to expand on that. Oh, another really good one. Women's bodies are on an infradian rhythm, so it's okay if women's routines look different than men's. And I've done podcasts about that. Essentially, what I'm saying is our bodies are different. So if you recognize, your husband, I say your husband, his body is, or like he wakes up at a certain time and is peppy or blah, 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 and like you can't keep up with him, or in your head you're thinking you can't keep up with him, that's okay, because your body's operating differently. And there's certain times of the month, once again, I've done episodes on it, and I'm going to do some more, and you can do a little bit more research on this too, where certain times of the month we have more energy, we're ready to do more things. Other times we lack energy, so like we need to have different nutrients and things like that. That's how our body operates. And because of that, the world can look and operate a little differently, because the world is, not saying that it's, anyway, the world does operate on men's schedule. Like, let's be honest with ourselves. That's not a feminist thing to say. That's just facing reality. The world operates on men's schedules. So if things look a little different, like the 9 to 5, that is catered toward men's circadian rhythm. But, we can get into that another time. And if your body reacts differently, that's okay. You're a woman. That's fine. Just try to figure out how to work through that. All right, that's enough on that. Some more announcements. We have our Other Girls Share the Love party this month. It is going to be March 23rd at 10 a.m. at the U City Women's Center. We have a couple people already signed up. You still have time to sign up. I just kind of want the time, just because I'm trying to bring like lunch for us, and I just want to get a kind of a sense of how many people are going to be there. Really what this is we're going to get Embrace Grace love boxes. I already posted a video. They're unassembled, and we're going to assemble them, and we're going to pray over them, and we're going to donate them to the U City Women's Center. And while we're there, we're going to see if Jane can also, she's the director, if she can also give us a tour of the center, those who've never been. So if you're like, you know what, I am nervous to go out on the sidewalk, or I really want to go to a rally, but I feel uncomfortable, this is another way to express your being pro-life. This is a small step, but it is something that is it's needed. Sometimes women need that not sometimes, human beings need encouragement, and it would be very encouraging and edifying for a woman to get a box like this. So this is one of the ways you can do that. And we are having for the week of March 31st to April 6th, so the walk is April 6th, we are in control over that week for Love Life. So we're doing Love Life April 6th. Join us. If you've never been to Love Life, this is where we do like praise and worship at the beginning. And then we do prayer. We walk around the walk around Jericho. Well, we walk around the facility and we pray, and it's a really good, I think that's another thing too. I think if you're like, you know what, I am anti-abortion, I think it'll be good for you to come to an event like this just so you can at least see what you're against. We're not going to go into the facility. You don't have to talk to anybody. You don't have to say a soul to anyone. You don't have to go in. You don't have to offer a woman anything. If you are interested in that, I can talk to you more about that if you want to get into sidewalk advocacy. But sidewalk counseling, however you want to say it. But this is a good experience, in my opinion, because you can kind of feel the darkness and you kind of are like, okay, it makes it a little bit more real. Even though, once again, we don't go inside, so we don't really see it, but you can spiritually, you can feel there is something going on there. Okay. And then you should join a Patreon for as low as $5 a month. If you listen to this podcast and you're like, wow, I really like this, I want to be part of this, I want to help. Like, I think what this is doing, like the community events, the speaking on issues that are going on that women are facing, things like that, just the fun pop cultureness. If you're like, I really, really enjoy this podcast, you can donate $5 a month. That really makes a difference. Everything for this podcast comes out of my pocket, except for what the Patreons and when people donate. It all comes out of my pocket. So it would be very helpful if you do the $5 a month. I'd appreciate it. All right. Let us get into our stories about 15 minutes in. Before that, I am going to take a sip of my cup. Sorry, when it's just me and I'm talking, sometimes I get my voice. I need some water. And then another thing we do right before our stories is we clink our teacups, our water bottles, whatever it is, we clink them. So, ladies, are we ready? Clink. All right, here we go. The first story is kind of funny, silly, or no. I was about to say funny, silly, weird. It's haha funny, but not. No, it's funny. Not haha funny, funny weird. Okay. I really like that saying. I just butcher it almost every time I say it. Okay, here we go. This is from the Daily Mail. Hardcore band Lorona dumped singer for trying to drug bandmate with estrogen and bizarre plot to steal his fiancé. Yes, you heard what I said correctly. Let's learn more about it. A small-time band has parted ways with its lead singer over a plot that saw him secretly dosing his bandmate with estrogen in a bid to steal his fiancée, it claimed. Bandmate said he confessed to the act during a drinking binge before allegedly owning up to it a second time. His supposed motive was to force a transition. Okay, I'm laughing because I'm uncomfortable, but like, this is messed up. Like, this is not good. On his friend so he could look better by comparison. The member who saw his pre-workout beverages poisoned was identified as Bassist 6. His social media suggests he's engaged to a woman named Caroline, whom he met in April. The band aired the strange claims to followers this past week. Now, I am going to read to you the post that they posted on Instagram about this. Okay, here we go. We have decided to part ways with our vocalist Diego due to admission of very disturbing and concerning behavior towards one of our band members and their partner. He has admitted to being obsessed with said partner and has been attempting to sabotage their relationship by cutting pre-workout he frequently gifts from his job and high amounts of estrogen in them. He has been attempting to force a transition onto him for the last 5 months in hopes that he would give him the opportunity to swoop in once he looked stronger and more manly in comparison. Once again, not funny, but just like, what a silly, like, this feels like a movie. And I'll tell you what movie it feels like. Wink, wink. Quote, in parentheses, it says, stupid caveman mindset that makes zero sense. This tampering has caused confusion and thousands of dollars and medical bills the past months trying to figure out what's wrong. We would not know any of this unless Diego had gotten way too intoxicated and ousted himself, and then sent an admission to all of this via text. There are many more disgusting details that have been left out for the sake of privacy and general censorship. Not sure what all that means, but let's, our mind can wander. So what is the movie you thought of? I'll give you 2 seconds. 1, 2. John Tucker Must Die. This was like not the plot of John Tucker Must Die, but that's one of the things that they did to him. The 3 girls that were dating him that didn't know that they were dating him, they put estrogen in his in his what I think in his drinks, actually. Anyway, crazy story. Forcing a transition so you can look more manly. And then think about this, like, I'm sure that guy is trying to figure out, like, what the heck is going on. Oh, another thing that this was on, I want to say this was also happened on Arrested Development. The mom was making, so Lucille, the mom, was making her husband, George, less, like, was giving him estrogen so he wouldn't cheat on her while she was in jail. Arrested Development is a funny show if you like sarcasm, and like it's a good show. Anyway, so that was also the plot there. And George did become like more feminine in the show. So it's just a crazy, goofy, wacky story. And then to like post about, I guess that's interesting. I personally am not like a hardcore listener, but for people who do like hardcore, I'm sure now they're like, oh, what's this band? So maybe it was a smart move on their part, but it's also like, how do you go back to your band members? And then the next thing is like, does Caroline still stay? I mean, it's not her fault that this happened, but like, you could still kind of feel a little icky. I mean, I wouldn't break up with my boyfriend or anything, my fiance, over that, but I would feel a little weird and icky. Like it'd be uncomfortable. Also, Diego hopefully is going to jail, because that's illegal. He was poisoning someone, and you can't poison people. That's not right. So I just thought that was an interesting story that I heard on another podcast, and I was like, what? Crazy. All right. So this next story is our weird science story, because I'm going to do all the pro-life ones kind of toward the end, because it kind of leads up into like another announcement. Okay. This one, it goes back to weird science. This is really interesting. Listen to this. This is from NPR. So every morning, so Spotify does this thing called the Daily Drive. If you haven't tried yours, you should look into it. It's this show called Up First. It's by NPR. And it's like 15 minutes max, but they'll just talk about like a couple stories that happened. They'll like, if a primary was the day before, they'll like read the primary results, stuff like that. And then it'll have some music that you listen to. And then it'll be another like podcast that I don't really listen to, but like I like the Up First because it just kind of goes over like what's happened on my drive into work, and then like they have the music. So I heard actually this on Up First, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. And I think this kind of goes to, you know what, this kind of connects to the pro-life stuff too, because anyway, let me just read it. This is from NPR. How genetically modified pigs could end the shortage of organs for transplants. Aries hasn't. Oh, so this is also an op-ed. So this person is going to be talking in the first person. Aries has invited me to be the first journalist to tour the company's research farm, which is on the forefront of trying to realize a long-sought goal: using cloned farm animals to provide kidneys, hearts, livers, and other organs to save thousands of people who need transplants. Quote, it's exciting. We've been working on this for more than 20 years, and it's no longer a science fiction experiment. It's actually a reality, end quote, Aries says. The experiments hold promise for alleviate. Okay, like the way Sorry. The experiments hold promise for alleviating the chronic shortage of organs for transplantation. But the research is also stirring concerns about the ethics of using farm animals for their organs and the risk of spreading animal viruses to people. Inside a brick and glass building in an office park, scientists start by using the latest genetic engineering techniques to edit the DNA in pig skin cells. Next, the scientists employ a technique similar to that used to create the first cloned mammal, Dolly the sheep, I'm sure you guys have heard of her, to make clone pig embryos. During my first visit, 4 scientists methodically removed most of the genes from hundreds of pig eggs. They do it by gingerly piercing the eggs with a tiny pipette under a microscope to suction out the DNA. Later that day, the scientists inject the edited pig skin cells inside the egg's outer membrane. Then finally, the scientists zap the combination of cells with 2 electric shocks to fuse the edited cells with an emptied egg and then start cell division to create an embryo. The resulting embryos are surgically implanted into the wombs of adult female pigs. 4 months later, cloned piglets are born with 10 genetic modifications designed to make sure their organs don't grow too big, won't cause complications like blood clots, and won't be rejected by the human immune system. This article was quite long, so that's just like an excerpt. I'm going to link it like I always do, for people who want to read the entire thing. I found that incredibly interesting because there's 2 ethical questions. The first one I'll go over is one that, to be honest, because I believe that God gave us dominion over animals. So I'm not really struggling with this ethical question of it. But one of the first ones for people who are animal rights people and like who do feel like I don't necessarily feel conviction for like eating pork or like eating animals in general. Like I just don't feel that conviction. And I don't feel, yeah. So for those who do feel that conviction, like a big ethical question is they're literally creating these animals to kill them because the only way for these pigs for us to take for the scientists to take the pig heart, the liver, it would be to murder the pig. So these animals would literally be created to be murdered. And I think if you are really big on animal rights and things like that is like probably a very hard conversation to have. In the article, there's like a part where it's kind of saying how, there's like another section that I'm going to read. Okay, yeah, let me read this other section. Once the pigs are old enough, clones are bred with their other clones to produce more litters of identically modified animals that could be sacrificed when they're almost a year old for research to provide organs for transplants. Those litters will allow us to do multiple organ procedures from one animal. For example, we get 2 kidneys and a heart. The holy grail will be to get all the organs that you need for human transplant from one donor animal. More than 100,000 people are on the waiting list for transplants in the U.S., and about 17 a day die without getting one because there aren't enough human organs available. So Arias's vision a day not too far off when Revictor, that's the name of the company, will run commercial farms scattered around the country to breed these modified cloned pigs for desperate organ recipients. There will be multiple facilities coast to coast in order to produce enough organs for transplant. So that's the part I would say. So there would be, it sounds like there's going to be probably hundreds of facilities that are going to have hundreds of pigs that will be producing these things. So they will be producing these organs. So that was the part that I was, because I was scrolling, I was like, okay, I know I added that, but so that's the first ethical aspect of it. You know, is that right or wrong for us to just create animals literally to kill them? Now, my rebuttal would be, we do that to eat them, and I feel like organs for humans is a much more noble cause than just to eat an animal. That's the first thing. The second thing is the idea of a animal heart or liver in a human just feels wrong. It just feels off. It feels very science fiction-y for sure. This is definitely like, I think, aside from maybe like the pods that we've talked about, is one of the most scientific, or the most like sci-fi, almost creepy things we've talked about, mainly because this is something that's coming up. Like let me read. It says where did it say? It said there are how many people on the waiting list? There are more than 100,000 people on the waiting list. So someone that you may know, you listening, this could be something that will be available for them in the near future. So obviously I would never judge someone for taking these organs. And I think that if the opportunity came with the information I have at this moment, I probably would if I needed to. And I certainly would encourage someone I love to do it with the information I have now. I'm saying that because I would like you guys, if you know anything more about this, like, to give me some more information. If it's what do you think? If it's ethically right? If it's not ethically right? As Christians, is something we should do? Something we should not be doing? Like, how does this affect other aspects? But like I said, with the information I have now, I can't. The only thing to be honest, it just feels icky, and that doesn't necessarily mean that it's wrong. It just feels icky. Once again, like, I wouldn't judge, because like 100,000 people, 17 die a day without getting one. That's very sad. And people need organs for a myriad of reasons. So some reasons completely out of their control. So I mean, the ability to be able to grow these quickly and if they can work, obviously, nothing is ever going to be as perfect as like a human one. I was gonna say the one you're born with, but like sometimes people are born. But like, I do think like the best ideal situation would be a human heart, a human liver, a human kidney. So obviously it's not gonna be as perfect as that, but the idea that it could be kind of like, it could be close, like a close second. It's just so interesting. So you guys let me know, what do you think from, like I said, the first ethical question is creating animals literally just to kill them. My rebuttal will be, we do that to eat them. This is more noble than eating them, giving people an opportunity to live. I don't know. Then my next question is like, if this was, is this ethical? Does this at all go against the Christian ethics specifically? Like, and would you, if you really desperately needed, I'll say a heart. I'll do the most dramatic one, because you can live with one kidney. If you absolutely needed a heart and the only hearts available were pig hearts, would you take a pig heart? Why or why not? Let me know. That'll be the question for Spotify. Would you take a pig heart? Why or why not? I with the information I have now, I want to keep saying that because I feel like somebody in the comments is going to say, well, actually, with the information I have now, I think I would, if it was a heart and I absolutely needed it. There were no other options. Obviously, like I said, the best scenario would be a human heart. Really, the best scenario would be the heart I was born with. But the second best would be a human heart, and then the third, absolute last, would be a pig heart. So let me know, you guys. What do you think? Is this weird science? Is this like, and also tell me, do you feel like, wow, wait, what a good advancement of technology, this is what we need? Or do you kind of feel like, oh, this is like, do you get do you feel icky about it too? Because that's another thing I was thinking about. Like this, I mean, if we could save there's 100,000 people on the waiting list. If we're able to like cut that number at least in half, how amazing would that be? There's so many lives will be changed. So many families will be able to remain whole. I mean, so many great things could happen if this is something that we could do. The question really is, how ethical is it? Yeah. So let me know what you think. Whew. Next one. Something that everyone has been talking about. And I didn't really get a chance to talk about it because I wanted to learn a little bit more about the information before I said too much. And everybody's talking about it, and people have kind of sort of slowed down talking about it. So now I'm like, okay, I can talk about it. In this next article, the next two articles are actually from Live Action. If you don't know what Live Action is, they are a website that Live Action like news. They report on a lot of like pro-life type things that are going on. And what else do they do? They write about pro-life things that are going on, and they also have different ambassadors that like go out and kind of like help teach and spread the word. They've done like Baby Olivia. They have done different rallies. They have really good information at whatisanabortion.com that kind of talks about the different types of abortions. If you have a friend or something that's just so staunch and you talk to them and they make comments and you're like, you know what, have you ever seen an abortion before? Whatisanabortion.com is a really good resource for you, or abortionprocedures.com is another good resource for you. And it's all the things they do are done with doctors, many former abortionists who have seen what they have done wrong and have repented and want to now do something right. So that's Live Action. All right, here we go. The Alabama Supreme Court rules embryos created via IVF are human children. The Alabama Supreme Court ruled last week, so about 2 weeks ago, that human embryos created via IVF are to be considered children protected by law under the state's Wrongful Death Act in the Alabama Constitution. The case, LePage v. Mobile Infirmary Clinic, Inc., originated when the frozen embryos of several couples stored at the Center for Reproductive Medicine at the Mobile Infirmary Medical Center were destroyed after a client was somehow able to access the facility and handle the embryos, resulting in their destruction. In their lawsuit, the couples argued that the embryos should be considered people under the state's wrongful death statute. A lower court ruled that the embryos were not human beings. The Supreme Court's 8-1 decision overturned that ruling. And it's the Alabama Supreme Court. Really quick, every state has their own Supreme Court, just like every state has their own Congress. So I think sometimes just some people don't know that. I just wanted to add that. The court also upheld that the Alabama Constitution's Sanctity of Life Amendment, which was ratified in 2018, required the court to rule in favor of the preborn. The amendment states that it is the public policy of the state to recognize and support the sanctity of unborn life and the rights of unborn children, including the right to life. Unborn children are children under the Act, without exception based on developmental stage, physical location, or any other ancillary characteristics, said Justice J. Mitchell. The Wrongful Death of a Minor Act is sweeping and unqualified. It applies to all children born and unborn without limitation. It is not the role of this court to craft a new limitation based on our own view of what is or is not wise public policy. That is especially true where, as here, the people of the state have adopted a constitutional amendment directly aimed at stopping courts from excluding unborn life from legal protection. The court noted that there is no unwritten exception to the law and that it applies to all children, including to unborn children who are not physically located in utero, that is, inside a biological uterus, at the time they are killed. Live Action founder and president Lila Rose responded to the ruling in a statement saying, "The decision made by the Alabama Supreme Court affirms the scientific reality that a new human life begins at the moment of fertilization. Each person, from the tiniest embryo to an elder nearing the end of his life, has incalculable value that deserves and is guaranteed legal protection." This ruling, which involved a wrongful death claim brought by parents against a fertility clinic that negligently caused the death of their children, rightly acknowledged the humanity of unborn children created through in vitro fertilization, IVF, and is an important step toward applying equal protection for all. The term embryo denotes a stage in human development, much the same as the words infant, toddler, or teenager. The preborn child is a human being with its own distinct DNA from the moment of conception. Even when it is as small as an embryo, the case underscores one of the most significant problems with IVF, as countless embryonic preborn children are created and then discarded when they are deemed unfit or unwanted. Ooh, that was the whole article. I wanted to read that because I just wanted to get the full case. Because a lot of people have opinions on this. A lot of people have stated their opinion. A lot of people have been frustrated with the results. And a lot of actions have been taken because fertility clinics in Alabama have closed. I should have pulled that up really quick. I want to read, I want to get the full, just so you guys know what is going on. Alabama fertility. Okay. Let's go to news. Alabama fertility. Let's see. Here we go. So this is from NBC News, and 3 Alabama clinics pause IVF services after court rules that embryos are children. Essentially, what a lot of these facilities are doing is they have suspended services as they consider the legal repercussions of the decision. Now, so essentially, all right, let me read to you the statement they said. In its statement, Alabama Fertility said it was trying to find solutions for affected patients and working as hard as we can to alert our legislators as to the far-reaching negative impact of this ruling on the women of Alabama. A spokesperson said the health system will continue to offer egg retrieval, but will no longer fertilize eggs or develop embryos. We are saddened that this will impact our patients' attempt to have a baby through IVF, but we must evaluate the potential that our patients and our physicians could be prosecuted criminally or face punitive damages for following the standard of care for IVF treatments. Okay. So I just wanted to give you like the full context of like why people are upset, like what's going on. First, I want to say, I understand completely how it feels to want to be a mom, to be pregnant, and have your own biological child. And that being difficult. I understand that because I am almost 30 and not dating or anything resembling dating. And as we know, statistically, half of my eggs will be gone by the end of this year. So I completely understand. I want a child so badly. I cannot express how badly I would love to be a mom. So I want everyone listening to understand where I'm coming from. Because I've said this before, sometimes the women who are talking about this and talk so assuredly and they can't even imagine how it feels. I definitely know how it feels. I know how it feels to pray, to want so badly to have a child. So I want to give you that caveat. That's the first thing. Second thing, I don't think IVF children are any less important. I don't think they're any different than a child naturally born. I don't have any animosity toward IVF children. I don't even have animosity to people who have done IVF. Where my problem lies is with the process in general. A couple of things. So I've watched a couple documentaries because I've said this before. I have thought about getting my eggs removed. Way too expensive, so that idea. But I looked into it, and there's just some things that they don't tell you aside from it being expensive. So it's kind of, I don't say elitist, but like you have to have the money to do it. Aside from that, there is also the aspect of it's no guarantee. I don't remember the statistics. I can link some like a podcast or something where I heard something or an article or something like that. If I remember, I'll try to link that. But like, and you can look it up yourself. Like statistically, it's actually really hard for the egg and sperm to even like. It's a statistical miracle if you do have a child via IVF, comparatively to all of the eggs that have been retrieved over the years. Anyway, it's a statistical miracle if you have a child. So, and that's just kind of something they don't really tell you. You know, it's just the whole process of creating children and then freezing them and then discarding them because of X, Y, and Z, or, you know, sometimes they're discarded because they find genetic abnormality. Sometimes they're discarded because, oh, I really just wanted girls and these are all boys. Sometimes they're discarded because oh, I just really don't want them anymore. There was, I want to say Sofia Vergara, or one of the celebrities. There was like a big thing because when they got a divorce, it was like, okay, where do our embryos go? I don't think it was Sofia Vergara, now that I'm saying it out loud. Maybe it was Sherry Shepherd. Anyway, the point is, like, there was like, where are my eggs? So like, there's, you know, things like that. You get a divorce and like, okay, who owns these embryos? Just get rid of them. There's all these other things. So that is where the problem lies, because egg plus sperm equals human embryo. That is scientific reality, as Lila put it. Therefore, there are frozen children that are just frozen in time. They're just there, frozen in time. What does that mean? They deserve equal protection, just like every other human. I love how Lila put it. Let me read what she said. Each person, from the tiniest embryo to an elder nearing the end of his life, has incalculable value that deserves and is guaranteed legal protection. And that is 100% where I stand. That is what I believe. And because of that, I agree with this ruling. Because of that, I agree with this ruling. Embryos have a right to life. Here's where people are getting upset and frustrated. The IVF clinics don't know how to operate. They're concerned about legal ramifications. Now, I haven't heard anyone say this. You know, I personally think part of it, like, if you truly, whenever I see things like this and I hear, oh, this is so terrible, so awful, I want to think about it from their perspective. Like, I want to think, okay, why? So, like, let's say you run an IVF clinic and you truly don't believe that embryos are human and you're just trying to do your job. I understand wanting to pause for trying to figure out, like, how are we going to do this legally? But to me, if I'm going to be honest, my first thought is, like, they're pausing. It could be for politicalness, just to, like, make a point. Like, we're going to make a point. We're going to show these people. Or B, I'm like, okay, wait a second. How often are they, like, dropping? I don't know. I'm just using this as an example. How often are they dropping embryos? How often are they discarding embryos? How often are they, like, because, like I read in the article, it said, following the standard care for IVF treatments, how often are mistakes happening? You know, if you go, so this is the scenario. This is where my mind went. This scenario, okay, I go and they actually pull out. They're actually able to make 12 embryos, and I'm like, yes, yay! But they only tell me they can make 6 because, you know, somebody left the door open and, like, something happened. There's just so many different things. Like, to me, it's just kind of like, oh, that's kind of weird. Like, mistakes happen, sure. Like, how often are they happening that you feel like you have to pause the standard care for IVF treatments? I don't know. That's where my mind went. That was a little sketch. So that is why a couple people have asked me, like, what's going on? Why are people feeling that way? That is why. That is why people are upset. They're upset because IVF treatment has stopped in Alabama. And they're scared of, like, what the next steps are going to be. I saw a lot of people, well, next, if a woman has a miscarriage, they're going to put women in jail for miscarriages. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. I saw other people making comment. You know what? Let me not, like, say it like that. Like, well, I can say like that for the person I'm thinking of that said that, because he was just being very rude. And it was like, hey, you guys, like, he said it to me. He was just being very rude, talking over a woman on a reproductive issue. What? But I do understand people's concern. Like, I don't want to minimize people's concern. I personally do not think IVF is right because, like I said, the process, you are freezing children, and you're throwing away unwanted ones, ones that don't meet your specific medical requirements that you put on the child. Like, that is why it's wrong. That's why I'm against IVF. Now, so like there are people who are legitimately, who I think have legitimate concerns, and like their hearts are good, they just don't see it that way, and blah blah blah. So like I don't want to diminish their concern, but you're not going to be put in jail for a miscarriage. Like, that's what people are saying. Like, they're like, oh, that's the next step. They're gonna put us in jail for miscarriage. No, that's not gonna happen. And I think that's part of the problem that the pro-aborts have, is they're constantly going to like the absolute worst. This is gonna be the worst thing. This is what's gonna happen. And I'm saying that, like, I think sometimes we do that too. I think ours is like rooted in like reality. I think theirs is not. But like, that's, now that I'm saying, it's a human problem that we have. We go to the worst possible step. But like, what I like to do is I try to think logically. If you're gonna say intentionally, so you would be intentionally, okay, you made the embryo. Mom and dad, oh, she won't have blue. She won't have brown hair. I want my daughter to have brown hair. None of this red. Get rid of her. That is an intentional thing. You going about your life and unfortunately having a miscarriage, that's not intentional. That's not, that's not, and that, this is speaking logically. Like, there's an absolute difference. So that's what's going on in the IVF world. Let me know your thoughts. Do you think that this ruling was appropriate? Do you think that it wasn't appropriate? Do you agree with the ruling? Even if you thought it was appropriate, do you agree with it? Do you think that some of these clinics are kind of using this opportunity kind of for a political gain? What are your thoughts on that? Okay, last article is another one from Live Action, and this is something we've talked about before, and this is just more of an announcement. CVS and Walgreens to announce plans to begin selling abortion pills within the month. Over a year after Danico Laboratories, the manufacturer of the abortion pill, announced that the FDA had given them approval to sell in CVS and Walgreens, they have announced that they will begin selling the lethal drug within a month. So that is something that is important for us to know and be aware of. I will be sharing information about that. There's also, I will try to share, if I can remember, the link to this girl I follow. She made like little tiny cards that you can put places that'll give like information about like what is happening. And like, I don't know if you remember, a couple months ago, we were doing like, hey, stop, like, let's not do CVS and Walgreens, and CVS, Walgreens, don't sell these abortion pills. Like, this is serious. Selling abortion pills, let me tell you how serious it is. I don't know if you guys remember. I'm going to link this. And this is an article from Business Insider. I purposely wanted to do an article that wasn't necessarily, or a publication that wasn't necessarily pro-life. So you can see, like, lots of people are recognizing, like, how terrible this thing is that I'm about to say, like, how potentially dangerous it could be. So this is from Business Insider. Tamika Thomas was a woman last year who was mistakenly given the abortion pill misoprostol by CVS pharmacy employees. She was undergoing IVF treatment and had her pregnancy abruptly ended after taking the pill. The pharmacist said, "It was just a human error and I'm so sorry." So first thing is, if she's going through IVF treatment, she's probably working, like, where my sympathies lie. Like, I want to be one of those, I want everyone listening, like, if you have to do IVF, you have my deepest sympathies, because that's usually a last resort, because it's also so expensive. They gave her the wrong pills, and this child that she wanted so badly was killed from this pharmacist. It was just a human error, and I'm so sorry. I'm sure it was just a human error, but why on earth would you be selling something so serious, so something like this at a pharmacy. This is so crazy to me that this is even a possibility. So I just want to make everybody aware of that. CVS and Walgreens say they're going to start this soon. So I would, if you haven't already, let's go ahead and start boycotting CVS and Walgreens. And it is hard. I'll admit that it is hard. Obviously, once again, like if you're in the middle of nowhere, that's all you have as a pharmacy, and you really can't find it, like, don't kill yourself, like don't hurt yourself over this. If you have to go in, like I said, there's little cards, leave cards places, let people know like this is not okay. If there's petitions or anything like that we need to sign, I'll try to link them. I'll always try to link them and like let people know like this is serious. People are like, mistakes like this are going to continue to happen. And that's another reason why we need to abort the abortion pill, which is another, we'll do an episode on that. And I believe there have been an episode dedicated to the abortion pill. I believe so. If not, I need to do that. Let me know if you're like listening. If I've ever done one. If not, we absolutely need to do that. Also, abortionprocedures.com has a link or has like a section about the abortion pill to kind of like tell what happens. Like the abortion pill is serious. They say, oh, it's like popping a Tylenol. It's not. It's absolutely not. Absolutely not. So that's what's going on in pro-life world. That is almost the show. Last thing is, by now you will see that the tickets for the second annual Other Girls Tea Party are live. They are live. You can get your tickets now, today, up until a week before the event. This year's theme is Real Girls Tea Party. And it is taking place at a Cause for Tea in Monroe, North Carolina, which is right beside Charlotte. The cutest. I went and visited the tea house before I signed the contract to have the party there. So cute. I mean, you guys, the room is adorable. The place is adorable. Everybody's so kind. They're owned by Christians. There's like scripture everywhere. I'm obsessed. I love the place. I'm definitely probably gonna go again before now and then, like with some friends, maybe just for fun. Beautiful. Absolutely love it. I'm so excited for you guys to be there. I wrote out, and you'll see this on the website, the link when you order your ticket. I wrote out the purpose, and I kind of want to read it, just so people know and understand why I'm doing this and like why I think this is important. This tea party. So I'm just going to read it from, because I typed it out, and I feel like it's a good explanation. This past year, there has been a lot of talk on social media about what a girl's girl actually is. We will be discussing what the Bible says versus what the culture tells us. This year will be a more intimate tea party with just 15 spots available for to women of all ages. I also want to make a note, there's only 15 spots available, so that's just an FYI. Our goal is, we have just a room. If you were there last time, there was like a little bit of confusion, but we have a room to ourselves. For the 15 girlies. Okay. Our goal is to drink tea, dress cute, and have fun, but also have discussions on abortion, biblical femininity, and how we can affect our community. One more time. Drink tea, dress cute, and have fun, but also have discussions on abortion, biblical femininity, and how we can affect our communities. I think a huge part of changing culture is to be able to sit down and talk about what the problem is and talk about solutions, and then take that in your everyday life. I think there's a lot of podcasts, love podcasts. This is a podcast. There's a lot of podcasts. There's a lot of just talking and chit-chatting about things. But like, if you're not actually like coming up with a solution, there will be an itinerary. And I also want you to know, it's not going to be like a big stuffy thing, but like just having discussions, I think, are really important. And just figuring out, how do we as girls, as Christian girls specifically, how do we take this into our community? How do we go out in our community and like express kindness, the fruit of the spirit? How do we do that? Especially when like, when the opposite of the fruit of the spirit, I'll use self-control. self-control is a part of the fruit of the spirit. How do we express self-control out in the world when the world is not about self-control? I mean, you tell people to control themselves in any aspect, it's you should see my face if you're not watching. Like, people get upset. So I think this is how we are going to change culture. The 15 of us are not going to solve the world's problem. I mean, we could. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen that day. The 15 of us probably aren't going to solve the world's problems that day, but the idea is just to come together, truly have some good conversation, and it's going to still be light and fun. Like, don't think that you have to come with like a big notebook and you're like, okay, here I am, ready to learn. Like, you know, sure, bring a notebook, but like, it's not, I don't want you to think that it has to be, you're going to be sitting here and we're not going to laugh and we're not going to have a good time. But we're also like, I want this to be an effective, a good event. And I want this to be fruitful. That is my prayer, that this is a fruitful event, that something good and positive will come out of it to how we affect our communities. Okay. So for those to know, we're going to have speakers, we're going to have games, and we're going to have discussion times. It is from 2 to 5 on June 1st at a Cause for Tea. Tickets are available now. They're $40. And let me tell you, there was confusion last time. Your $40 includes you don't have to bring any other money on that day. The $40 includes the tea, the pastries, and you'll be entered to win prizes and giveaways. So your $40 covers everything. It's going to be a fun time. You are going to be happy that you spent this money. It's going to be worth it. And there are no refunds. But let's say you can't come, you can transfer your ticket by just emailing hello-those-are-the-girls.com. It's all in the event thing. Travel. If you do not live in the Charlotte Monroe area, but you want to have a fun girlies weekend, let me know. Email. I'll leave the email. And I'm going to be working on a fun itinerary if you want to make it like a girls weekend. If you've never been to Charlotte, Monroe area, and you want to go for the first time, this would be a fun time to do it. Our event is only from 2 to 5 on Saturday, so you'll have so much more time to do other things. And let me know if there's enough of us. Maybe we can even rent a Airbnb. I can maybe try to see like other activities we can do if there's enough of us to make it a girls' weekend. You absolutely can do that. Just let me know. Let me know as soon as possible. The attire, the theme is okay. I feel like I don't pronounce that right, but whatever. Anyway, cute, girly, frilly dresses. You don't have to wear that. That's the thing, but you don't have to wear that. It's like girly, fantasy dresses, and you don't have to wear pink. I will be wearing pink because that's just like who I am. I actually just got my dress. Just ordered it. Can't wait to reveal it. It's so cute. You don't have to wear that. Okay, everyone? You don't have to wear that exactly. You should wear whatever color, however theme you feel the most beautiful in. The idea, though, is like, I think we all, even if you're the tommiest tomboy, I think subconsciously we all like to be dressed up and like look cute. We're gonna take tons of pictures. I'm gonna have the Insta camera again. I'm gonna have like a little backdrop and everything. It's gonna be fun and it's gonna be totally worth it. You're gonna get your $40 worth out of it. You will, I promise. And then lastly, we're gonna do 2 items for donations. You can bring one or the other or both. Diapers, and they're gonna be donated to the Help Pregnancy Center, which is the pregnancy center located in Monroe. Or period products, so tampons, pads. You don't have to necessarily do organic, but if you listen to our episode with Macy, the founder of Garnu, organic is best. But you don't, if you don't have to, but I would recommend that. And those will be donated to a Title I school in Charlotte. So there also is going to be special giveaways. You'll be entered in a specific giveaway by bringing one of these items. So like, let's say you bring 3 packs of diapers, you get 3 entries. If you bring 3 packs of diapers and 2 packs of organic tampons, that's 5 entries in the contest. And we'll do a contest on that. And then, and our contests are going to be, you're going to win products or items from some of our favorite brands that support our values. That's another thing too. If you have a business that you want to sponsor this tea party, you'll have 15 girls that support. If you are support the values of this podcast, I'm assuming you also, if you're listening to this podcast, I'm assuming you support the values of this podcast. You'll have 15 girls that you know guaranteed support the values of your business. I think it'll be a great, I mean, if I had a business, I would donate 15 items if I could, you know, or different coupons, or a coupon code, something like that. Just let me know how we can discuss sponsorship package and how it would look like your specific business. All of this is available, thosearethegirls.com/events. I'm really excited for this tea party. I am praying about it. I've been praying for it. And I'm excited for it. I'm praying that God will have this time be fruitful, and I'm praying that everybody that's going to be there I'm praying that everybody that needs to be there will be there. And I just think it'll be a fun time for us to gather, to look cute, have fun. Tea is always fun. The tea is so good. And the place is just so adorable, you guys. I mean, it's going to be such a fun, like, frilly evening. But also have some good discussions to affect our community. So I'm excited. If you enjoy this podcast, make sure you like, rate, review, subscribe. If you listen to Apple Podcasts, please rate and leave a review. If you're listening on YouTube, please leave comments, like, subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify, answer the questions. Make sure you rate. And tell all your friends. I think this is a good episode to tell your friends. I think it's been interesting. I've talked for over an hour, so that's fun. Let me know, like, are you kind of like, you know what, Mallory? Like, literally, I would prefer you not to be by yourself. If you feel that way, like, you know, let me know in a nice way. Like, don't try to hurt my feelings, but let me know in a nice way, so then, like, I can, like, try really, like, harder, I guess, to get guests. But if you're like, oh no, I don't mind it, I will continue to try the same effort. Next week should be a guest, so just an FYI on that. All right, I think that's it, ladies. So rate, like, review, subscribe, all of that, share with your friends. I'm just repeating what I said earlier. Have a good day, night, evening, however, wherever you're listening. Bye.